In Minnesota, it happened this evening. Fall arrived. A few could miss it as temperatures plummeted far enough to trigger a warning.
On the east coast of the United States, it happened last night. And by this morning, no one could have missed the fact that Hugo had paid a visit.
WCCO Television presents Don Shelby, Colleen Needles, Mike Fairborn, and Mark Rosen. This is the 10 p.m. report.
Good evening. What was once Hurricane Hugo is not even a tropical storm now. Tonight, it's just another weather system.
But 24 hours ago, it was a different story. It was packing hurricane-force winds as it crashed into the U.S. mainland. Hardest hit, South Carolina, where 7 counties have been declared federal disaster areas. 11 people in the Carolinas are dead, and damage is already placed in the billions of dollars.
Hugo hit Charleston at 12:30 this morning with winds of 135 miles an hour. Here's how it looked and sounded.
It was a whooshing sound. That's all you could hear. It was whoosh and continuous whoosh.
It was daybreak before the people who live here could see what Hugo left behind.
Now it's a mess. They've got power lines down. There's no power, no water, no phones.
The National Guard was called in to prevent looting. The South Carolina governor called it the worst disaster he's ever seen. The barrier islands near Charleston had homes blown 300 yards off their foundations and boats pushed ashore.
Oh, Lord! Look at the house!
And houses that have stood in historic Charleston for more than 2 centuries now have to be rebuilt. As one city official said tonight, we've just been flattened.
As Hugo was approaching South Carolina at about this time last night, Mike Fairborn talked with reporter Ed Trosky, who was in Charleston. Here's part of that interview.
The power is out all over town. The power is out at this emergency shelter, which is right behind me. And TV stations here have been knocked off the air, radio stations off the air. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of damage when the light comes up in the morning after the sun comes up.
Today, we looked up Ed to make sure he'd made it through the hurricane in one piece. As you can see, he's okay. And he had a story to tell.
We're expecting a curfew tonight by the police department. There was some looting earlier in the day, but the National Guard has been called in, and there are now officers all over the downtown area. So far they've put a stop to it, but there was some looting earlier. We flew over the barrier islands this afternoon, and many of the homes there, hundreds of homes, literally washed away, or roofs off, or walls knocked down. It's just a devastating scene out there on the beach.
Ed Trosky is a reporter from Orlando, Florida.